Seriously?
Your eyes do not deceive you, for yes, I have actually painted something. Hey guys, 6 plus Stevo here with another video for you. So yes, I have finally painted something to completion, based, varnished, the full shebang. Yeah, it took me a while, but I'm finally back into the swing of things. Any long-time viewers of the channel will know that I am famous and renowned for my increasing number of grey orcs. I've got a lot of unpainted miniatures, guys. I recently got back into the hobby. For those of you that don't know, just before the start of 8th, I kind of stopped playing at the end of 5th originally, got rid of all my painted armies, and yeah, I've been playing with unpainted miniatures for a long time. I've been doing lots of building, lots of converting, playing games, making videos, talking tactics, etc, etc. But the painting side of things, it took me a while to get back into the flow of things. Various reasons for that. Wanted to get the paints first, get the sort of scheme down, you know, sort of shake the rust off and get back into it. And yeah, it took me a while to get going, and time is very limited for me. As I'm sure a lot of you out there have the same kind of story. You've got family, you've got jobs, etc. There's just not enough hours in the day. But yeah, I persevered and cracked on, and finally I've got something to show for it. So yeah, I was so pleased that I actually seen something through to completion that I wanted to share it with you guys and show off what I'd done. Now, let me just say, before I show these off close up and we look at them in a bit more detail, I am not an expert painter, far from it. I think what I paint to is a good, maybe just above average tabletop standard. I'm pleased with these, let's put it that way. As far as my talents and skills go, these took me a long time. I spent a lot of time and effort on these, and I am pleased with the outcome. And I think that's important when you're doing painting and stuff, is that sometimes we can set the bar a little bit high for ourselves. We see these, you know, painted miniatures in, you know, Golden Demon and Slayer Sword competitions, and just other YouTubers, their, you know, impressive paintwork and stuff on display, that it can be a little bit daunting. But for me, for things I've painted in the past, I'm very pleased with these. And I'm quite pleased with the colour scheme and everything I've gone for. But anyway, enough of that. Without further ado, let's take a bit more of a close-up look. There we go. I'm also trying out my new phone, recording this on the Samsung Galaxy S10. It's a big step up from my previous phone, so I think you should see a remarkable, a significant jump up in terms of picture quality and hopefully sound quality as well. But this is the first video I've done with this, so let's hope it all goes all right. But yes, so let's take a look. We'll take a look at the first one here in the front. So the colour scheme I've gone for, obviously I have bad moons, so I wanted to go for yellow, but I've mixed in with the yellow and black, typical bad moon colours. But I've gone for a lot of rusty metal as well, specifically on these vehicles, like these Kanz I'm showing here. And also, I know a lot of Bad Moon armies, they go sort of full on with the yellow, and I like the yellow colour scheme for Bad Moons, but I think sometimes it can go a little too much, especially on the vehicles and stuff, and they can end up almost looking like Tonka trucks or something, you know. I still wanted that sort of rustic, beaten up, scrap heap, Mad Max kind of vibe about the whole thing. So I wanted them to look like they've been built from scrap, and they're worn down and rugged and battered. So, I mean, they're Bad Moons, yeah, they like to be flashy, they like to show off, but they're still orcs, you know, they're still building this stuff from scrap, and it's still seen a lot of battle and a lot of action, and so I wanted to get that through in there. The yellow that I've used, all the paints I've used for these are Army Painter paints. I switched from GW paints when I came back into the hobby to Army Painter. I've not looked back. I really like these paints. But yeah, the colours I used. So for the yellow itself, I went for sort of a darker tone Traditionally, bad moons have sort of quite a bright yellow. The yellow I've gone for is more of a sort of a mustardy, sort of almost military yellow. It's sort of almost beige. And then I just highlighted, did a bit of edge highlighting with a lighter yellow along the edges just to make the sort of colour pop a little bit. Giving everything a wash down with a soft tone to give it a nice sort of light brown wash to give all the dirty, grimy look to everything. And I'm pleased with how it's come out, actually. It's I've sort of taken a little while developing it and sort of getting the technique and it to look just the way I like it. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. I've, as you can see, the metal parts, I've gone for lots and lots of rust. Yeah, that was very simple, actually. The great thing about these Army Painter paints is they have got some great effects paints. And some of my favourites to use is one called Dry Rust. And literally, I get this effect just by, I dry brush, I spray the miniatures black, dry brush them with metallic, and then one of the last stages I do is I get this dried rust paint and I just sort of sponge it on. I get a little bit of foam, a little bit of old packing foam from like the blister packs or like leftover bits from like your carry case. And I just tear a bit of that off and sponge a bit of this on, get most of it off the sponge, and then I just dry brush and just splodge it on various parts. You get sort of various parts of nice rusty, grimy, dirty look, which I really like. And I just love that sort of rusted, beaten up old look. The black, simple, just black, and a little bit of edge highlighting with some grey. And then I just applied, once I'd done that, I applied a lot of heavy damage. So I've done some, painted on some sort of rough damage along the bits, the painted bits. And also, one thing I'm quite pleased with is on all the scopes and lenses you'll see, is that I've got this sort of a effect going on which I'm quite pleased with. And that was done quite simply with a, I can't remember the name of the colours exactly, but it's like a dark blue and then a highlighted over with a lighter blue and then a little dot of white. And then I just paint over the lenses with some gloss varnish. That's one of the final stages. I do a bit of gloss varnish on there because these are all varnished with Army Painter's super matte varnish, I think it's called. So it gives a real matte finish. There's no sort of glossiness to these at all because I didn't want to sort of paint all this rust and grime and dirt and battered look and then make them all glossy. And sort of, I think a gloss varnish can also give like almost like a wet, shiny look to things, and it doesn't look good in my opinion. But things like lenses on scopes and stuff, I really wanted that shiny, glossy, glassy look. So a little paint of gloss varnish over that is really nice. And then the last thing I did after varnishing them is their other effects paint, which is called Glistening Blood. And again, with a sponge, just sort of sponged a bit of that on the blades so it looks like it's been recently in battle and chopped up some poor Umi. Also, not just a sponge, but I got an old toothbrush, dip that in the paint, and then just sort of flick the bristles over it, being very careful not to get it on the rest of the miniature, and just splatter it across the thing so you can see these blades have whirled around and flicked blood all over. And then just gone for a desert base, very simple, couple of little, some of them have got rocks glued on there as well as sand, and a few tufts also from Army Painter, and they are the mountain tufts. And they're great little things. Just buy them in a packet, peel them off, a little bit of glue, and stick them on. And I just think it adds a little bit of something extra to the base. But let's move Matey out of the way there. One armed with a rocket launcher. I've got 3 of these with rocket launchers, so I might as well show those ones first. And then I've got 3 with big shooters. So here's another one here. This fella, a little bit more yellow. I really like, I think again, the highlighting along the edges, while you're doing it, it almost feels like, oh, this doesn't look very good. But then when you sort of stand back, once it's dried and you're looking like, oh wow, that's really sort of made it pop and given it some definition. So yeah, edge highlighting, really stick to it. And I haven't done that on every piece. I haven't done it on the metal areas because look, I'm painting an Ork army here. I would like to get them finished at some point, although the army's probably never going to be finished. But you know what I mean. If you go full on ultra detail on every single miniature, you're just simply not going to get it done. And I did spend a bit longer on these guys than I probably intended to, but I really wanted to get them looking good. Like I say, I'm really pleased with this blood. This glistening blood stuff is fantastic. Now, the first time I used it, I was a fool. I did that, and then I painted the whole thing and then varnished it. But the trouble is, when you use this glistening blood, you then put a matte varnish over, you lose that wet look of the blood, and it really dulls it down. So actually, you've got to varnish your miniature and then go in last of all with that glistening blood. But yeah, so there's that dude. Anyway, another rocket launcher one. Very pleased with him. And I love these miniatures, guys. I love Killa Kanz. Now, a few of these, I can't remember which ones, but a few of them have weapons from the Death Dread. In fact, I think that one, that rocket launcher, is from the Death Dread with a little bit of modification and conversion there. Yeah, actually, I do remember it is. I chopped the arm up and from one of the close combat weapons, I think, and mounted the rocket launcher on there. Because you don't get enough rocket launchers in the Kanz set. You only actually get one. So if you want all three of them to have them, you need to go down the conversion route. But here's another dude. I love the posing of these things. I love being able to get them posed, so I like to have them sort of stepping over things. This one I quite enjoyed, posing him, stepping over the rock there. Again, I like the tufts. They just put a little bit of life in the base. It's little touches like that. They're really simple to do, but they really do just, I think, bring the miniature to life. This one's quite heavily rusted. I like the chomping claws and that, and again, the blood, I think, just adds another element to it. So yeah, quite pleased with these. I'm not over, the only bit I'm probably not overly happy with is the red. I had real trouble with the red. Took several coats. I think I need to paint another colour over the black before I go in with the red. So they haven't come out quite as nice as I'd like, but to be honest, they look a bit patchy on some of the places on the rockets and things, but they're orcs. The stuff is going to be a bit battered, a bit dirty, so you can kind of get away with it. The same thing with battle damage as well. Where I gave this yellow a wash, some of the places you kind of find later on it might have pulled a little bit and you might have sort of patchy sort of look to it. If there's any parts of the miniature that I wasn't happy with, the great thing is when you're doing battle worn stuff, you can cover over it and paint some battle damage over it. I did that. This is a real simple old school technique where I just paint a little splodge of black and then I went in with some shining silver, painted that, leaving a little bit of the black showing. There are much more realistic, more advanced ways to do battle damage these days, but I'm kind of old school in my painting techniques and I think it's effective. I think it works quite well and it's very simple and quite satisfying to do actually. But yeah, so that's the three rocket launcher dudes. We then move on to the big shooter dudes. This one was the first one I painted. Now this guy I actually finished a good while ago. We're talking over a year ago. And the other guys were close to being finished, but I just kind of stopped. And then just recently I thought, you know what, I've got to finish those Killa Kanz. I have to finish them. He had a modified big shooter where I sort of flipped it over on its other way round. It's sitting up the other way to what they usually go. Drilled out all the barrels as well on the big shooters, and I've also drilled out the smokestacks. It does make quite a bit of difference, I think, drilling out your barrels. It just adds that little bit more realism to them. But yeah, this guy you probably can't notice. I can notice, but because I painted him at a different time, he does look ever so slightly different to the other ones, but it's very minor. And again, it's probably only because I know that I'm noticing it. When they're all bunched together, you probably can't notice. But this is why it's a good idea to paint all your things at the same time. But I wanted to paint one on their own first, just so I could get the colour scheme right before I went in full on batch painting. Love the pose of this guy. Sort of just had him almost sort of going backwards. Almost you could imagine he's just been hit by something, or he's sort of roaring in pleasure. So excited to get into the battle. Again, the buzzsaw is splattered in blood. And you can see, there you go. You can see just how realistic this blood looks. I really, really love this stuff. It's so easy to do as well, guys. Glistening Blood from Army Painter. Check it out. But yeah, there you go. And that's him done. And then the last one over here, another matey. Did some slight little tweaks in him. I don't think there's any real conversion bits in him. I don't know if that could possibly be an arm from a Death Dread. I'm not sure. But I did sort of do things like this bit. I flipped it round the other way so these hooks face downwards, just to make it look different from the other one. Again with the lenses, did that glassy look on them with the gloss. But yeah, there you go, guys. I am personally very pleased with these, and I'm more than just pleased with the standard of them. I'm just pleased to have got something painted. I know lots of you out there thought it would never happen. I've received a lot of stick for having non-painted miniatures. Well, guys, I have finally painted something, so now you guys can get off my back. But no, seriously, guys, I'm just, like I say, I'm chuffed to pieces that I've finally got something painted, and it's got the bug into me. It's really got me sort of motivated now. Once you start seeing the results, it's amazing how, as you start seeing the results of what you've done, it gets you wanting to paint more. So yeah, I'm cracking on now. I'm really hammering through it. I'm not a fast painter, but slowly and surely you will see my army coming together, getting paint on it, because I've kind of bought enough now. I don't need to buy any more miniatures. I need to focus on the stuff that I've got. I know it's a classic story, we've all got it, but yeah, I'm going to just really hammer this through now and just try and keep motivated and keep going at this, because I'm liking the standards I'm getting, and yeah, so it's just good. And hopefully this means as I get a small force painted up fully, then hopefully from that point forward, you'll start seeing some things like battle reports on the channel. And I will be more happy to go and guest on other people's channels and have battle reports. And I won't feel so ashamed of bringing my grey, unpainted army with me and embarrassing myself. So yeah, there you go, guys. Anyway, there is my fully painted, at last, unit 6-pack of Killa Kanz. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, guys. Be kind. Like I say, I'm not a, I'm not a pro painter, but I'm pleased with these. I think I've got, a good tabletop standard, and I'm real pleased with them. And yeah, let me know what you think, guys. And keep an eye out for my next video, in which I'll be showing you another unit I've painted, because yes, I haven't just painted these, I've painted something else as well. Hold out till the next video before I show you that. But for now, guys, this is 6+ Stevo signing out.